There are 11 types of blur effects you can try out. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, we're learning everything graphic design, from why you absolutely must have the skill in 2024, how to use the necessary technical tools, and so much more about designing. If this is something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button to get notified when we post new videos. Now, let's get into today's video. So as I've shared previously, this course is for beginners and you don't need any prior knowledge in Photoshop, photography, or design to get it. This is a practical course, using necessary tools to add, remove, create, and morph. Basically, manipulating images to create designs. Now in today's lesson, we'll practice using the Artboard tool, the Lasso tool, the Magnetic Lasso tool, the Object Selection tool, the Content Aware Move tool, the Blur tool, the Sharpen tool, and the Pen tool. In our previous episode, we mentioned some tools and how they function. This episode is no different. The tools just get better. Again, from our previous tutorial episode, we defined Photoshop as a software application developed by Adobe for editing and manipulating digital images and graphics. Now, before we head into today's tools, Photoshop has shortcuts that helps you design smoothly to increase productivity. There are quite a number of shortcuts, but the main ones you'll be using on a daily basis are the shortcut for zooming in and out, the shortcut for moving around the canvas, and the shortcut to undo mistakes. Today we're starting with 3 shortcuts that we'll be using frequently in Photoshop. The first is zooming. You do this by holding the Alt key on your keyboard and then using the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in and out. Easy, right? The second shortcut is for dragging around the canvas. You'll realize you need to zoom to see certain information if you have a large canvas, and after zooming, you'll need to move around the canvas to exactly what it is you want to work on. And that's where the spacebar comes in. So to move the canvas around, hold the spacebar to click and drag around with your mouse. And lastly, Control Z. And this comes in handy when you make a mistake. Like the name, it takes you back one step to clear your mistake. Now we're moving on to the first tool for today, the Artboard tool. In our previous lesson, we covered a useful tip about the Tools panel. Remember the small arrow you see at the bottom right corner of certain tools? Yes. It signifies that there are additional tools grouped together under that particular tool. So, by right-clicking the small arrow on the Move tool, a pop-up shows and we can navigate to the Artboard tool. By clicking the top left corner of our layer and dragging across our image, we create Artboard 1. These small circles with a plus sign in them allow us to click and create additional artboards like Artboard 2, Artboard 3, Artboard 4, and so on. The feature is particularly beneficial as it enables saving multiple design compositions within a single Photoshop file, a functionality borrowed from Illustrator, which proves highly advantageous for designers. So, our Lasso tool. This is a versatile selection tool that lets you create freehand selections. You can easily trace around your subject to make a selection. Let's use the nighttime scene as an example. Now, in order for you to really get this, you're going to have to practice and practice. Remember, practice makes better. Now, once you've made a selection, you have the flexibility to move it around freely without being confined to its original position. Or you can delete it entirely. We'll leave a link in the description below so you can download the exercise files and then you can practice with those. With the Lasso tool, we can move around the moon or even duplicate the moon. To duplicate any selected object after selection, click on the Move tool and drag the object while holding the Alt key. Next, we have the Magnetic Lasso tool. This tool analyzes color and contrast to snap the selection to the edges of the object you're working on. To get the Magnetic Lasso tool, right-click on the small arrow on the Lasso tool. A pop-up will show up, and then you navigate to the Magnetic Lasso tool and click to have the tool selected. Start by clicking in the edge of an object or a subject and move your mouse along the edge till you have a complete selection. To complete your selection, just return to the starting point and click. If you make a mistake, you can press backspace to undo the last point. Zooming in, you'll realize the use of this tool is not for the faint-hearted. I would only suggest you use this in perfectly defined shapes like an apple fruit or an orange fruit, and like basic geometric shapes. Using the Magnetic Lasso tool on subjects with custom shapes and hair proves to be quite difficult. You can also undo the entire selection if needed, and remember, to undo is Ctrl Z. Next, we have the Object Selection tool. This tool scans your image and identifies different subjects or objects and planes within it. These subjects can be highlighted by hovering the mouse over the subject or object after selecting the Object Selection tool. To select a subject or object with this tool, you simply click and drag around it. I have a question for you guys. How many selection tools are there in Photoshop? Comment below if you have the answers. Another way of equally selecting the subject or object is by clicking it. It can recognize the lady in the image just by clicking the lady and she's selected. This makes it useful for quickly selecting specific elements, especially in more complex photos, like this image of a group of children. It can recognize each child so you can make either of them the subject. You can click on a subject, like the boy on the skateboard, and the tool will automatically select it. If you want to select multiple objects, such as 3 children, you can hold the Shift key after making your first selection and then click on the next object. Now, if necessary, you can also undo these selections, which again is Ctrl Z. Question. So, how do I know if any subject or object has been selected? The answer, you see marching ants around the selection. The next is the Content Aware Move tool. This tool enables you to move or relocate an object within an image and intelligently fill in the original area. So this tool functions like a freehand selection tool. You select the object, drag it to a new spot, and the tool fills in the area where the object was by blending the pixels. Now once you move the object, you can finalize the action by deselecting it. While the blending may not always be perfect, the filled-in spot usually looks quite natural. The effectiveness of this tool can vary, and you can adjust settings to improve the results. Now, if needed, you can easily undo the action. This tool allows you to soften specific areas of an image. For example, using an image of a lady, we can blur the face by setting the tool strength to 100 and painting over the lady's face. You can see the blurring effect with each stroke. This can be applied to any part of the image to reduce sharpness and create a softer look. There are 11 types of blur effects you can try out using Photoshop 2023, but the blur effect that will help in our journey is the Gaussian blur. So let's navigate to the menu bar and select Filter. From the drop-down menu, choose Blur. Then select Gaussian Blur. A dialog box will appear with a preview of the effect and a slider to adjust the radius. Move the slider to the right to increase the blur strength or to the left to decrease it. You can also type in a specific value. The preview will show you how the blur would look. Make adjustments until you achieve the desired effect. Now once you're satisfied with the settings, click OK to apply the Gaussian blur to the selected area or the entire image. It's also useful in portrait editing to blur the background while keeping the subject sharp. Next, we have the Sharpen tool. This tool enhances the details in specific areas of an image. So for instance, if we zoom in on a portrait and find they aren't as sharp as we'd like, we can use the Sharpen tool to improve their clarity. By clicking and painting over the area, you'll notice an increase in sharpness. However, it's important to use this tool sparingly as overuse can lead to unnatural colors and artifacts. An amazing tool we have here, the Pen tool, a powerful and versatile tool in Photoshop that allows you to create precise shapes and complex selections. You'll realize that the Lasso tool has its benefits, but is not for smoothly selecting a subject or object accurately from an image. To select, let's zoom in. Remember, holding the Alt key and using the mouse scroll. Download the image from the link provided in the description and cut your image out of the background. When you zoom how you want, click on one corner of the edge of any image you'd want to cut out, then keep clicking to draw the custom shape of your chosen subject. Now there are times where you need an image from the background, and this tool comes in handy very much. With these steps, you can easily create and manipulate custom shapes and selections, enhancing your design capabilities in Photoshop. The Pen tool offers unparalleled precision for creating and editing paths, making it ideal for detailed work. Now, it's also quite versatile. It's used for a wide range of tasks, from creating vector shapes to making intricate selections. It's also awesome for custom shapes. Save and reuse complex shapes across multiple projects, enhancing your efficiency and creativity. By mastering the Pen tool, you can significantly enhance your design capabilities in Photoshop, allowing for greater creativity and precision in your work. First, you zoom how you want. Click on one corner of the edge of any image you want to cut out. Then keep clicking to draw the custom shape of your chosen subject. You then right-click and select Make Selection. Hit OK. you navigate over to the Marquee tool. Right-click on your layer and click Select Inverse. Now you'll realize that the entire canvas has been selected and you have your selection in the selection as well. So inverse is basically the opposite. So the inverse of black is white and the inverse of selected is not selected. You get it? What you see on your screen basically means you've now selected the unselected part instead of your original selection. And when you hit the backspace or delete key, you realize your selection stays, but everything else is deleted. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.